Whoa, well, hello. Hey, everybody. I'm Ben at the Dallas Zoo. I thought we'd talk a little bit about birds today. How does that sound? Anybody a big birding fan like me? I love birds. There's about 10,000 bird species around the world. And here in North America, we've got about 1,000 of those, about 950 something. And then if we go a little bit tighter, here in Texas, we've got about 600 plus of the 1,000 birds that are in North America. So that makes us just an incredible spot for birds. Our state's amazing in that way. And here in Dallas, of that 636 or so, we've got over 200 species of birds right here in our own region. Isn't that awesome? I thought you might like to learn a few tips about how to get to know birds better. They're amazing, they're beautiful. They serenade our backyards, our parks. They've got beautiful colors, they make incredible sounds. The neat thing about birds is they're the wildlife that we see every day. And not just individuals a lot of times. We see whole family groups, whole flocks. And that can be really special. If you're interested in wildlife like me, you can learn a lot about observing wildlife from taking a closer look at the birds in our backyard and in our cities. You might have some time right now to go outside and look at birds. That's the best way to get to know them, just like with anything, is doing it. Just getting out there and watching birds, you'll get to know them a lot better. But there's a few tips and tricks too that I thought I might share with you today, and that'll help you get to know birds better. Okay, sound good? Here's a couple of tools that we use in birding. Of course, binoculars. They're not essential, but they're really helpful. They let you take a closer look at the bird. You can get a better idea of what its shape is, what the colors are, what it's doing when you use binoculars. So binoculars, they come in all forms and sizes and all price ranges. The guidance is this: if you're gonna get binoculars, probably best to save up for them and get the best pair you can and then hang on to them for your whole life. That's probably the best guidance. So these are Nikon Monarchs. They're really great. We love these. And here's some different parts of the binoculars that you might want to know about. These are eye rings, okay? These twist out if you're not wearing glasses. So here's the idea. If you're wearing glasses, let's say I've got some glasses on here, put them on, then your eye rings are down because the glasses are holding the binoculars the right distance from your eye, and that lets you focus pretty easily. But a lot of people don't realize this. If you're not wearing glasses, you need to twist the eye rings out, and those keep your eye the proper distance from the lens, and they let you focus a lot better, okay? That's the first thing, eye rings. Second thing is the barrels. This is the left-hand barrel, and this is the right-hand barrel. On the right-hand barrel, you need to double check this little adjustment here because sometimes it can get twisted. This is made to accommodate for any astigmatism you might have in your eyes, but when you start off, you want to make sure that the line on the right-hand barrel right there is lined up with the dot. A lot of times this gets twisted, even on old binoculars, and you might think your binoculars aren't good anymore. Sometimes people think they dropped them or they got water in them and they put them off or they even give them away. Don't do that because you're getting a blurry view. Double check your right-hand barrel and make sure that line's right there. It's going to give you a nice clear view. Okay, so you've got your eye rings, you've got your adjustment here nice and properly lined up. The next part here, a lot of people wonder about are what are these numbers on the binoculars? The first number, in this case an 8, is the magnification power. That's letting you see 8 times closer than you would in real life. Sometimes they're 7, sometimes they're 10. So it's 7 times closer or 10 times closer. In this case, it's 8 times closer than you would see in real life. The second number is a little bit more nuanced, or I guess a little obscure for most people. This is a 42, and that's the distance on the big side of the barrel here in millimeters across the lens. All that's letting you know is how much light can get in. The longer the millimeters here, the more light, the brighter usually the image. So those are the two numbers that you need to pay attention to with binoculars. A good standard pair, we like to recommend, that lets you see stuff up close and far away and gives you a wide enough field of view to see most everything, like big flocks of birds, is 8 by 42. That's a great way to start out. And then we squeeze the binoculars, just like that, to the width of our eyes. What you want to see is one big round circle for your view, not two overlapping circles, one big round circle, okay? So I'll do it for mine like this. Okay, that's about right for me. And then most of you know, it's pretty simple here. This dial, you adjust with your index finger, and that's what brings the image into focus. So you just take your finger like that, and you adjust it according to how far out the bird is, and you just watch the bird come into focus. It's that simple. Awesome! I see some birds out on the feeder. We've got a pair of house finches, a male and female on the peanut feeder. That's amazing. It's the one with the red cap. Those are peanuts inside there. Can you see the red breast on the male house finch and the red head? Sometimes we think all those little brown birds are all the same and people just assume they're sparrows. But when you take a closer look, which is what birding's all about, close observation, you can see the red in the chest, the red in the head. That's a beautiful male house finch. The female's incredible too. She's got a big, thick bill and beautiful brown kind of flecking on her body. And she's the one, if you can see it out there, on the left-hand side of that peanut feeder. They're both feeding together and pulling the peanuts out. Now, another male house finch has moved in. He's on the green feeder. You can see his tail kind of sticking out and his head there. Beautiful. Another tool that I think really is critical, especially if you're getting started, just getting started, is a great field guide. Some people use phones now. You know, we use phones for everything. And a lot of times people use this. Here's Audubon Owls, for instance. This is a great app just focused on owls, and it'll even play the call. There's a lot of great benefits to these phone-based field guides. They're free. You just download them in the app section. And like I say, this one is specifically focused on owls. Now, if you're old school like me, you like a book. This is the Sibley Guide to Birds, the second edition. All the birds in North America are depicted here, and they're in order taxonomically, so by bird family. So it's kind of tricky to figure out what birds go where, and so a simpler guide sometimes is better. There's another Sibley guide here called Birding Basics, and that will kind of just give you some good tips on getting started. Now, you don't have to do that. You can read a lot of this on the internet, but a field guide is really essential to help you take the next step in birding. You're going to know a lot more about birds than you think you do. You're going to be able to recognize a lot more. For example, like sometimes field guides can be like in poster form here. And these are some common backyard birds that you're going to see. I bet just scanning through these, you can identify a few of them, like the American crow, or the blue jay, or even the rock pigeon, or the mourning dove, or some of the woodpecker species you probably recognize, even the cardinals, down the line. So you already know more about birds than you think you do. You just kind of got to get out there and get focused on it. And field guides are going to help you figure out what species it is. You open up the field guide, you look at the bird, and you say, okay, now this is a bird I'm seeing in the city. Yeah, it's got some black bars on the wing. It looks a lot like that. Let me check down in the range here. Is it in our range? Absolutely. You can see, in this case, purple means year-round. It's found here year-round. Look at that. It's definitely in our North Texas region. So, you know, most likely when it flies, its wings are kind of in a V. I bet this is a rock pigeon. So that's just an example of how field guides work. And you can go down the line from the birds that are out over the ocean to the forest birds. Look at all the amazing hummingbirds. You can go to the flycatchers, which are kind of a tricky group to figure out. But that's the cool thing about birding, is there's always something to learn, always something to discover. You really sharpen your observation skills, you sharpen your problem-solving skills. You're out with people, in this case, you know, with a proper distance that you love. And you can be outside and get you outside and looking at some of the most beautiful things in nature. Okay, I wanted to share something that makes all this timely. It's always a great time to bird. You can bird in winter, summer, fall, spring, anytime, morning, evening, nighttime even for owl prowls, lots of fun. But during the year, birds migrate twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And right now we're sneaking up on spring migration, which is one of the most amazing phenomenons in all of nature. Billions and billions of birds will pour back into North America in the next few weeks. They've been spending their winter here in Latin America, then they'll pour across the continent, back across our region in Texas into North America where they raise their young. The spring migration is absolutely an amazing time to be out bird watching. It's coming. They say our peak migration in North Texas will be about April 19 through about May 7th or 8th. So that window right there, let's get ready for it. Okay, so we reviewed binoculars, we reviewed field guides, and even the phone field guides. Come back next time, join with me. We're gonna go outside. We're gonna take a closer look at birds, and I'm gonna share some tips and tricks for birding when we're outdoors in the field.